Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of A Dungeon About. This one is pretty much exclusively about the classic MMORPG Ultima Online, specifically in its current incarnation on the Outlands private freeshard, which you can go and play on right now. In the first half of the podcast, we talk about the basics of Outlands and how I heard about it, and also about my previous experience with Ultima games. And then in the second half, we go into more detail. We look a bit at the map. We talk about the crazy housing market in Ultima games. And we also conjecture a little bit about the current state of the MMO scene out there and why it might be that sort of old school games like Ultima continue to have an almost magical appeal to at least a certain type of player. And just as a little heads up, we are currently streaming our Ultima sessions on Sundays at 12 p.m. Central European Time on twitch.tv/he-makes-me-play_live. Anyways, I hope you'll enjoy this episode of A Dungeon About. Yeah, Vincent, you want to talk about Ultima Online a little bit?
Yeah,
Because I played some Ultima Online.
I watched a little, but I'm curious
Yeah.
to hear about your experience.
Yes.
And you didn't just play Ultima Online, but Ultima Online Outlands.
That's right. Let me give you the brief intro for, because this is at least theoretically a podcast. So, a while ago, it was pointed out to me on Twitter by, well, not to me, but she made a post on Twitter, Julia Cassian, that she was playing Ultima Online, an ancient MMO, on like a new freeshard where people, a dedicated community, they put up their own sort of version of the game, and you can play there for free. And she made it sound really fun, and I got intrigued. And then I sort of talked to our friend Marco, friend of the show, played some Baldur's Gate with him before. Check it out on our YouTube channel. And he's also a great connoisseur of MMOs, and he was the perfect candidate to try it out. And so we played it a little on the weekend. And what it is exactly is that I mean, you can go, maybe you have the website open right now, I don't know, but you can go to Ultima Online Outlands and get an account for free and download the launcher. And apparently, and I was not completely aware of this when we started playing this, they've sort of made their own version of the game, which is really cool. I've played Ultima Online before, not originally when it came out, because believe it or not, I'm not that old, but I did play it sort of, even free shards have been around for a while. And I once played it on one, I don't remember the name, it's probably gone by now. But that was sort of the original version of the game with the original map and everything, probably with like sort of 500% increased leveling rate or whatever, the kind of stuff people do on like private servers. But this Outlands thing is kind of interesting because they've apparently redone the entire map, at least, of Ultima Online. It's their own thing. And I've also, since we played on the weekend, I've learned that they have sort of extended the game in other ways, which I'm sort of now very excited to continue to play and to find out together with Marco and all of you. And like, I'm not going to go into like huge detail now, but I think, like, you know how games have like prestige classes, like that's a way to put it, right? Like in Pathfinder they have that, and possibly D&D 3.5.
Yeah, I think 3.5 has it, and Pathfinder might have.
They call it a different name.
I don't know.
But I mean,
there's mythic classes that might be the same.
But okay, yeah, that is sort of similar, right? That it's for very high level characters, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, what do we even mean by prestige classes? It's sort of, to me, it means like a
good question.
Another class, if just a class wasn't enough class for you.
Well, it's a continuation of another class or combination of classes, right? So
kind of, yeah.
For example, I know in 3.5 there's, I think, the Dwarven Defender, which is sort of like a fighter, and you need to be a fighter before you can do that. But it's it focuses specifically on protecting and like blocking a door or something like that.
Right. So would you say that they're like, specialized classes.
Yeah, definitely.
Class specializations, maybe. There's so many fucking terms in game design. I mean, because there's also subclass, right? But that's kind of a different thing. And it's a bit arbitrary. But my point is, from what I gather, and I don't understand the whole system there, they've sort of added that in Ultima Online. I don't believe that was in the normal game, but you know, of course, I'm very into wizards, which isn't surprising. And
They actually, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
playing the Wildlands expansion announcement, which I think Wildlands is the last
Wildlands?
expansion for Outlands.
okay, sure,
I'm not
yeah.
sure. But it's just a YouTube video, and currently they show the red line system, ultra high-end progression, unlock your true potential with astonishing upgrades.
I don't understand all of that, but I did see like that you can make a cool wizard codex, and you can like level up specific spells in it, and they will like then change and stuff. And it's just if you want crunch out of your game, if you want like sort of progression in the game, I think it's there because they, of course, and this is sort of a normal thing for like free shards and private servers. They've increased the leveling rate somewhat. I don't think they overdid it like to a crazy degree, which I usually don't like. But for instance, I think like when Marco and me did this, they have like a newbie island, and you can go into the newbie dungeon there. And while you're in that dungeon, I do believe you get at least like double skill gain rate and stuff.
Okay.
Up to a level of 80 when the skills go to 100, possibly 120. I don't quite understand that yet. But it's I don't know, it's a cool, charming throwback to those classic MMOs. And I've said this in the stream, I'll say this now again because it is such a cool observation and I completely agree with her and it's so clever. This is also by Julia Cassian in the context of playing Ultima Online. She said like, you know how it was like, how like 20, 30 years ago, we were playing those old school MMOs and it was bad technology.
It's been Beckalepica_team. Onlivans.com/sofinance.
Oh, nice.
How
Little
about
shout out
no?
there. But so, yeah, back in the day, we played all these old school MMOs with bad technology, and it just made us dream about the future and imagine what it's going to be like once technology can do more than just some 2D sprite moving on the screen. And nowadays, we have all that technology and these advanced MMOs, and all we do is like go on private servers and play 20-year-old MMOs.
Well, some of us do, yes.
Some of us, yeah, but I mean, obviously it's subjective, and yeah, I can totally see that stuff like World of Warcraft and other cool MMOs, they have stuff to offer, but it's subjective, right? I at least agree with Julia Cassian that it's like these old school MMOs have a certain charm to them that I don't find, at least in the MMO landscape overall, out there right now.
Yeah, I think for me, I as I said, I think last episode, I played the new World of Warcraft expansion, Dragonflight, and the difference is that everything is so figured out.
Right.
Because like you can like if you want to make money, for example, you can find a spreadsheet that details like every item in the game, and you can connect it to the API of Blizzard, and it shows you for every item in the game that you can produce as a player, how much profit you get.
Yeah.
And it's an enormous spreadsheet, and well done to the maker, but at the same time,
The magic's gone in a way.
a little bit, yes.
Yeah, although I do remember, it is also kind of cool because I do remember, this was a while ago now, but at some point I think Vincent did this for a bit and and made a bunch of money, and then I don't know how the Blizzard currency works, but you sort of gave out huge sacks of money to all of your friends. I remember that, and
Not money, just
Blizzard coins or whatever. I don't know.
You can gift Blizzard products. And like I
but
basically financed the World of Warcraft experience for
Exactly.
like 4 people.
Which is wild. Yeah, and you could then spend that theoretically on Diablo and stuff and other Blizzard games, right?
did.
Which is,
I remember buying the remade Warcraft 3 and then refunding it because
Sure.
Oh boy,
It's,
that
I
was
guess it sucked.
yes.
But you did it by the sweat of your own brow, by the coin of your own farming. And yeah, I mean, that's so apparently you at least were pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And like you had figured it out. But I think I do know what you mean. And it's also, Marco also had this complaint about WoW specifically, which I think he also played a lot. And let's face it, like also got a lot of enjoyment out of. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not into slamming these big games just because they're big. But he eventually also stopped because he said it's more like, you know, it's just playing the interface basically, because your entire screen is just like, I don't know how you call those things, like aura things and stuff.
Weak auras.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
plugins, and then you're just looking at the DPS and so on, and it's just not. He didn't like it so much, and yeah, I don't know. I have actually never played WoW, but I've had many people in my life who've played it, and I've seen it a bunch and stuff, and I just never. I don't know. I guess it's really beautiful and there's a cool world and lore, but the thing you actually do nowadays in the game, it doesn't seem very magical.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah. To me, I think a big part of it is figuring things out,
Yeah.
and especially in World of Warcraft, the weak auras, for example, like take a lot of that effort off the player.
Right.
Like coordination in raids, for example, right? You need to coordinate 20 people to do specific actions.
Yeah.
And then you just have a weak aura that tells every individual player, okay, go there.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to, your coordination is reduced a lot. And then because Blizzard still wants it to be fun, they have to create bosses that account for that.
Sure. So they make it really hard.
Yeah. And
But,
it's a building problem. And
Though the raid bosses in WoW, like they do have difficulty that you can set, right?
yeah, there's 3.
Alright.
Mhm. And they're very difficult, no question, and they're really fun as well.
Yeah.
But I can totally see the charm that something without all that.
It's also like that's such a. I feel like WoW has become such a specific thing that is so centered about around raiding and also dungeons, I guess.
Yeah,
that
dungeons are
became.
huge.
But it's not this sort of magical MMO experience. I guess this mythical creature that I'm chasing. But do you know what I mean? Where you're just sort of existing in an open world, and to me the MMOs were I always very much about the exploration part. That's the thing that drew me to it, and I guess you as well, though. When you said you want things to not be figured out, I guess you meant specifically the combat mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, not so much the exploration, but
I would.
combat
I mean, I
mechanics,
would
but
count
also-
that as exploration for sure, right? Like you want to figure out how the systems work in the game.
Yeah, okay. Sure, if you want to count that as exploration, certainly. But I meant more I'm not super interested in exploring the landscape.
Sure,
in
like
World
the
of Warcraft.
literal meaning of exploration in the sense of the world and stuff, which I do like, maybe a little bit more than you then, but it's also okay. This is funny to bring up with Ultima Online because it's also like a classic thing. But have you ever heard about what was the Bartle taxonomy? Can you Google this to make sure I get it right?
You can type.
I think it was called that. Oh, I write taxonomy wrong. Hold on.
Yeah, something. Like
I think like this. Maybe Google will correct it. This was for classic MMOs and also MUDs, the precursor to MMOs, multi-user dungeons.
Bartle taxonomy of player types.
There you go. So I got it right. So this was even back in the day, before there were MMOs, when things in the mythical land of PCs, when things were still written in assembler and stuff, and people played these things where you would log in with a text telnet client and go on a server and like slay orcs with people in multi-user dungeons. There was a man called Bartle, and I think he was also an MMO or a MUD creator, I guess, and even very early on, people made observations about the behaviors and types of players. And so Bartle created the Bartle taxonomy, which I hope you're sort of displaying, hopefully in a bespoke text document.
Yes, it's a Wikipedia page.
Very good. And so you can correct me if I get it wrong, but I think the 4 player types were Explorer, which is the reason I'm reminded of this. achiever,
Yes.
killer, and socializer.
Yes.
And would you agree, Vincent, with your experience in MMOs, even without explaining what these are? It's sort of comprehensive. I think. I mean, you can sort of imagine what, right? What like it's well titled. You can imagine what's behind these categories. And do you think it's missing anything? I mean, obviously, the killers are the ones they want to do PvP. They want to grieve people, right? It's like that exists in MMOs for sure, and to varying degrees, I think it can be fun, right? I mean, just doing PvP is fun, right? And part of that is winning, and the other people losing. That's just how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then sure, there's achievers. I guess that's people who want to like level up and beat the raids. I guess in WoW and like get cool achievements and stuff and the best loot and anything that is achievable in the game. The socializers use it as a kind of chat room, the MMO, which I think I think we've also all experienced that exists. And there's lots of like stories about socializing going wrong and WoW guilds and stuff. So I think that category is pretty clear. And there's the explorers, which I think is the most sort of complicated category. And those are the people who, in my opinion, the way I would phrase it, they want to break the game. But
well, I can tell you there for like it's created here in a diagram.
Yes, very
and,
good.
The lines say players and then opposite that world. So killers interact more with players and less with world, where explorers and achievers interact more with the world and less with the players.
Yeah.
And then the other line is acting and interacting. And it took me a while to understand that acting isn't role playing.
Right. They are not thespians.
Yes, but now I understand it as interacting with the world and acting in or interacting with the world and acting.
Right, I forgot about that, and I think also Barthel's biggest achievement with this taxonomy was not just making the categories, but then also talking about how they interact, and most importantly, if you're designing a mod or an MMO, kind of positing a thesis about the sort of demographics and how they interact and how you want to structure the demographics in your MMO. Concretely, like if you have too many killers in your game, the socializers will leave and your game will slowly die out, I guess. And like he had this theory that it's the explorers who keep the killers in check, which is that's an interesting one. And it also works the other way. If you run out of killers, you need more socializers because they're like the cattle that the wolf want to hunt and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's if you're interested in that, you gotta I guess read his Wikipedia article. Though I do have I do wonder, Vincent, if you agree with this, and I have to talk a little bit more about the explorer and what he thought that would be, because I feel like I am most of all of these, like I think everyone is a mix of these categories in their preferences and stuff. And I think I am most of all an explorer, which is, by that I mean, sure, I want to see all the landscape and stuff, but definitely I want to find the hidden interactions in the game and like the secrets that people don't know. And it's great if like you figure out that that one area of the map, like, I don't know, AoE spells don't work or like work differently or whatever. Or in that area, like fire deals 200% damage or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like Barthel's idea with this was that explorers figure this shit out. And so, like killers, for instance, in open world PvP, they might hunt down an explorer, but then the explorer, because of all the secrets they know, they can like use the environment to their advantage in surprising ways. And then the killer actually gets killed, even though he has better skills or better gear or whatever, and then he feels like really sort of humiliated and stuff, and that's like the opposite of what a killer wants, and that's why explorers keep killers in check. And I would say, and I wonder if you agree with this, that is a total fabrication for how MMOs work nowadays. I think this may have been true in the MUD era, where like weird interactions and stuff was a thing. Yeah. Maybe that stuff still works in RuneScape. I don't know, or Ultima Online. Who knows? That's what I want to find out. But would you agree? Like in WoW, like that wouldn't happen.
No, I don't think so.
would you like? I've talked for a while, and sorry, I just had to get all this stuff out
Yeah, no,
about the
no, it's
Bartle
good. I'm
taxonomy.
still thinking about what does this mean?
Yeah. I was
This
going to ask you,
diagram.
'cause you definitely have more experience with modern MMOs and especially WoW.
Yeah,
And
mostly WoW, not really much.
oh,
other MMOs,
sure.
but
I
yeah,
guess we'd have to get Marco in on
probably.
this here.
Mhm.
But do you agree this is even apply to WoW nowadays?
Uh,
The Bartle taxonomy.
sort of. I don't. I never played on a PvP server, so the whole killers versus explorers thing is kind of difficult for me to gauge.
Right.
But I totally see the socializers versus achievers
All
thing
right.
happening in World of Warcraft because
Mm.
in almost every guild that I was, there were a group of people who were always there and always just wanted to talk, basically, right? They wouldn't. They
Yeah.
might do a dungeon while talking, but mostly they were just hanging out. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there were people who really wanted to do specific dungeons for specific loot so that they could then get the best equipment, so they could get into the best raids and all that.
Yeah.
And these two groups were always a little bit at odds.
Yeah, and you could see that even within guilds, right? Where
Yeah.
if the guild wants to progress in the raiding or whatever,
Mhm.
then they might have to let go of some of the socializing people, and yeah,
Yeah,
there's like pressure.
yeah, which is why I think that I think World of Warcraft is so good at creating that pressure and at the same time dealing with it. And
How does it deal with it?
it's hard to explain how it actually does it.
I'm sure it's immensely complicated.
Yes,
But don't people, for instance, aren't there like wings for guilds that are then just for like socializing or and stuff?
What do you mean wings?
Well, like versions of guilds, right? Where you have multiple guilds and one is like the elite
Oh.
version and one is like just, or like a newbie wing or something.
Yes.
Or do people not do that anymore? I
mm-mm.
know it was a thing
I
back in
think
my
it's
day.
it's less the case.
Right.
But it wasn't really a case in the guilds that I was in. But they also weren't very big, so who knows? But I can also tell you that the socializers often had, in my experience, the issue that because they were mostly there to socialize, they weren't very good at the game.
Yes.
Just because, while other people invested a lot of time in actually playing and exploring and figuring bosses out and all that stuff,
Yeah.
they were mostly there to hang out and
Sure.
maybe
Farm
uh,
a little.
farm a little and just talk while doing that, and maybe not pick the highest difficulty, and not. They were also just not as interested in all these minute details of the game.
Yeah.
So usually to achieve the goals they had, because as you said, everybody is a little bit of an achiever and everybody is a little bit
Sure,
of a
yeah.
socializer. They often needed people who were just
To pull them along.
yes,
They
exactly.
needed achievers to help them get stuff done.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
And on the other hand, well, I'm not a big socializer, but it was fun hanging out with people who were socializers.
Right. Achievers need the socializers because the socializers are more popular and
Yes.
attractive.
Yeah, just fun to be with.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, these two groups I can definitely see in World of Warcraft.
And that was, by the way, what you just described was, by the way, also always, including this time, my experience in Ultima Online. And by that I mean specifically being a buffoon who can't do anything, but then being given free stuff by kind people because I at least talk to them. So I think, because that's what happened with Marco,
Yes.
to get us back on track with that whole narrative a little bit. It was super awesome. Like I've spoken now about what Outlands is a little bit, and that it's interesting, and I don't quite understand it yet, but when we started playing and just hanging out on Newbie Island, killing sheep basically, and just
Yes.
figuring out the interface, just people kept coming by and they were so nice and so welcoming. And I think some of them were very experienced people who played the game for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Not
That-
on Outlands, but in general, I think Ultima, and I imagine probably off and on.
Yeah, like people play RuneScape or stuff like
Right,
that.
we might know some of those people, but sure, I mean that makes complete sense to me. But they knew the game very deeply, and I guess had a lot of resources. And of course, we got loaded up with like, oh, here, just have this cool spell book with all the spells, and here, oh, here's a sack of ingredients you need to cast. And, I mean, because leveling up to 100 mage power, like, will take you about 120k gold.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
here's just a sack with ingredients. Go. And then one person gave us an entire llama to ride on, which apparently costs 25k. So
Wow.
thanks, I guess, for the llama again. I think that like we
very
don't
nice.
even we're such idiots that we probably don't even know how valuable that stuff is.
Yeah.
Because that llama can be resurrected, apparently. So even if we
Oh.
fuck up, which we will, that mount is not gone.
That's cool.
It is. And also, like, how did they know that llama is like my favorite animal?
Is it really?
Well, I've just been, because of all the AI shit and stuff, I've been dealing so
Oh,
much
yeah,
with
yeah.
Facebook's llama, right? That's their AI model and stuff. But
Yeah.
so that animal has been on my mind. That's all.
What does the llama actually do for you in game? Does
Oh,
it
you-
make you
yeah.
faster or
I had the same question, Vincent. And
just cosmetic?
the answer from the kind people of Ultima Online was it makes you faster. That's the main answer. But you can also, I think it is a big advantage because you can also fight from it and cast spells. And I think if you can just,
No.
I mean,
Is it like Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous where everybody ends up on mounts and you just
Yeah, I
you
think
ride
so.
everywhere at some
yeah.
point?
And right, if you can outkite your enemies, then you can cast at them from a distance. So then, it's a big advantage. Also, though,
Sorry, this image of like a wizard, like Gandalf on a llama, just throwing magic missiles.
that would be dope, man. Like a wizard on a llama. That's my next D&D character for sure.
I mean, I guess
definitely want a
his
llama.
you would be on Shadowfax, but
Yeah, I was going to say Gandalf has a horse.
yeah, but he doesn't throw magic missiles from its back.
Yeah, but he also just never throws magic missiles, Vincent.
true.
This is a complete fantasy that you're constructing.
He uses sunbeam, but that's about it.
He does? Where does he do that?
In the third movie, he uses like the Faramir goes to is it Osgiliath, the city between Minas Morgul and Minas Tirith?
Yeah, I
And,
know that scene.
Yeah, they get. He goes there to reclaim the city. And
Yeah.
his troops get slaughtered, and then his troops flee, and they get chased by Nazgul. And Gandalf rides out, and there's this great scene. I think it's only in the expanded.
Yeah, I've only seen the extended one
edition,
once.
where you can see on the right side there's Minas Tirith bathed in sunlight,
Yeah.
and then on the left is Osgiliath in the darkness of a clouded sky.
Yeah.
And Gandalf channels the sunlight into his staff and uses it to
Awesome.
shoot beams of sunlight at the Nazgul, and they scream and turn away from pursuing the horses.
Very good.
It's a great scene, yeah.
By the way, everyone, when I ask Vincent, like, really, and what scene was that? That is not a rhetorical question. As in, when people ask, like, I don't mean by that, surely you are wrong. I mean, when I say that to Vincent, I literally mean, Vincent, use your bespoke archive of every Lord of the Rings scene ever and summon the scene and retell it to me, which is what just happened. And I knew he could do that. So I actually meant that question the way I asked it, because I was curious. Because it is true. It's not. We've definitely had the conversation probably several times about like counting up all the instances where Gandalf does actual magic.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this whole theory about Gandalf not being a real wizard, but just being a level 20 D&D fighter with magic items.
Yeah.
And just pretending to be a wizard. And
Yeah.
yeah, but okay, that's for another podcast. Anyway, I highly recommend Ultima Online Outlands. People are very nice. People gave us lots of stuff. And
Did you make it at the end of it? Did you make it off the island?
No, we left that as a cliffhanger for the next time. You may have noticed I was very subtly and not so subtly pressuring Marco to get off the fucking newbie island because it was sort of pissing me off to just hang out there and kill sheep because, as I just said, I love to explore. I want to see the entire continent, right?
Yeah.
Especially considering that they've made their own game map. So that's, it's cool. I want to see it, but we'll get to that. It's also, though, probably very smart and doesn't take that long to just chill on that shelter island and level your main skills up in the newbie dungeon. And we'll probably do that next time, till we hit 80.
Oh wow, Trevek is here. Where's that? Oh, he gave us an exceptional wizard satchel, another one. And there are mandrake root in it. And if I look at the other one, yeah, I think we are missing. That's weird because we are missing one ingredient which is needed, which I'm sure I took with us. I don't know.
But in any case, we just got a nice donation of ingredients. Did
Yes.
I understand that? By Trebek.
Oh, you can wear that in your paper doll. Wait.
Ah,
Hey,
you
more
can.
crazy. Trevek is the man.
Trevek, yes.
Ah,
Thank you
cool.
very much, kind Trevek. It's much appreciated. Oh, we got more stuff.
Trevek just dropped some gold. Also, we were
Thank
fighting
you.
3 mobs at once, and Trevek is watching over us. At some point, there was an orc mage adding, but Trevek took him from
This is
us.
so it's so cool and amazing to have like this sort of guardianship by you
Yeah.
guys. It's all. Let me first say thank you for partying up. I guess now we will greedily gobble up everything you leave on the ground for killing, unless you want some of this. I'm guessing not, because this is a newbie dungeon. And this has me very excited to now be able to party up with people and like it's a very authentic old school MMO experience.
Is he
There's a
attacking?
red player.
I think he's not attacking us. I don't know.
But he could, right? It's like this open PvP. I mean, that makes it exciting.
Are they fighting? I think Trevek is fighting him. I'm not sure. I'm
Oh
kind
man,
of busy with the
our
monsters.
protector is battling like the newbie killer. This is so wild. This, I mean, if we can do anything to help, please let us know, right? I mean, we can't do much, but like, can like heal.
We can fizzle flame strike.
Lord Trevek.
Yes.
He was a newbie killer. I chased him off.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
That's so wild
Lord
that you're.
Trevek. Having backup here wouldn't be bad, though.
Holy shit! This is like. You're an actual protector of the innocent and stuff.
Yes.
Sir Trevek, you are a true guardian.
Lord Trevek. OMG Amore just dropped something on ground.
Amore dropped something, Marco?
Oh, wait. What? Can we take this? What is this? A summoner's tome was dropped on the ground.
Oh, wow.
And a wizard's grimoire.
Oh,
Wait, now
those-
we're getting experience for those.
Those are
Thank
the...
you very much.
Yes,
and they are very expensive.
I assume those were intended for us, and we are certainly gobbling them
Wow.
up like the greedy goblins that we are. And this was from Amore, yeah? I mean, that...
Hey, more
I-
crazy. They keep falling out my bag, lol.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
Oh,
Okay.
there's a PK.
Oh, shit. Do we have to run? Oh, this is exciting.
He wants to kill us. Oh no.
Are you running away?
Why is he running faster than us?
I don't know, maybe he's got a buff
Oh no,
or
Trevek
something.
is fighting him.
Holy shit, man, this is so exciting.
Trevek is fighting him.
Oh
Oh,
my
no, now
God.
he's chasing us. I ran too far. There are no NPCs. Oh no, I think I will die.
Can you teleport?
I don't have that hotkey.
All right.
I'm just running right now. I don't know. I don't see Trevek anymore.
Oh my god, this is so exciting. We've got so much stuff on us. What if we drop it all? He can get
I
all
hope
our,
you're fine, Trevek.
he can get all our orc trash. No, we need this.
Yeah, our inventory is full.
We
I will
need-
just run to Prevelia.
Yeah, do it. Like we need to save our orc trash. We need to. This is for poker tables.
Our 5,000 gold.
Yes, we fought so hard for this. Lord Trevek almost gave his life.
I hope not. He was still fighting when I saw him.
I know. He's a mighty warrior. He'll be fine. This is so exciting, man. I just imagine our elder
Running for our lives.
His pockets full, pants sagging, while he's like running with his backpack bulging at the seams. Somehow,
we made it to prevail.
yeah. Oh man, I'm actually relieved. Because I think, I think this is just a wake up call. We should probably take this opportunity to cash in, right, and like sell some of that stuff.
Yeah, we will
And-
put stuff into the
And
bank.
put some money in the bank, so we don't always have to rely on the kindness of strangers to give us stuff.
There appears to be some sort of castle on an ice island in the northwest.
That's so cool.
They have Marcus Towns. Okay, it's
That gets me legitimately excited, even though it's not like I've never seen an ice castle in a video game before. But just the idea that this was made, by actual people with a passion for this game, and they've probably put their own visions in this, and it's not just an asset flip, so we have to buy stuff in the cash shop, and you know what I mean? Because that's the problem with MMOs right now. Like, I've talked about how the current scene doesn't entice me and stuff, and that's the main thing, right? They all seem soulless and oriented around cash shops. They're usually empty with not many players, and it's just that's the thing that puts me off. The magic's not there, and this one has that, right? And I mean, even if you wanted to spend money on this, I think you'd have a hard time because at least we couldn't figure it out. I mean, I guess you can donate, probably, right? They probably have a donate button.
I don't know, probably
Yeah,
somewhere.
but I mean, the thing is free. There's no like cash shop in your face in the game. I don't think there is a cash shop.
Is Ultima Online free?
On the official service, which exists, I think you have to pay a subscription.
Oh, but okay. So the game is free, but you have to pay a subscription for using their service.
I think so. I might be completely wrong, Vincent. I don't know, but I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
how
fair.
else they would finance themselves.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe they have a cash shop and it's totally free to play, and I'm full of shit. We only very briefly looked at the official service because I learned about it from Twitter, and their Outlands was being sort of championed, and then I looked at one Reddit thread, and everyone said, "Yeah, no, play Outlands," and it's like that's the spiritual successor to Ultima Online. They just
Okay.
improved it along every dimension. And then I didn't investigate more. I just wanted to try it out. But yeah, so I guess that was my point. I had very much the socializer who needs the help of achievers experience that you were talking about. Vincent. But yeah, I don't know. That's sort of what I have to say so far about Ultima Online. I guess I'll keep talking about it when more cool things come up. We're definitely going to be playing a little bit more. I think Marco was also into it.
I think I found the starting island. This map is really cool. It's I think they just made it out of in-game graphics.
Right.
And it's like extremely detailed. You can zoom in really far. I think the snow castle is a dungeon, but they also have like highlighters for all the towns where you can find, okay, here's the inn and here's all that stuff, and they can show dungeon gates and entrances and treasure chests. And I think they even have maps of dungeons, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, and
really cool.
as far as I understand, in Ultima, it used to be this way, and I think it's the same here. There's no big like quest line or whatever that pushes you through the game. It's much more open world and freeform and
okay.
system-y.
Did you
Right?
find any quests on the starting island?
No, and there are no quests. Like at least from what when I asked the people there, they said no, that's not a thing. But there's like a bunch of stuff to do. But as I said, it's like more systemy, and I don't know all that stuff yet. But there's definitely just like bosses on the world, and some of them you need an entire guild to do and stuff. So I guess you can do that. And there's like dungeons, and there are societies is what they call it, and they give out jobs that you can do, and that's all stuff I have to explore. It's just
Is it like the Adventuring Guild, or is it
I think like
tailor
a
society.
I think they literally had a monster slaying society as one of them,
Cool.
and also like crafting societies and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, Vincent, though, I just looked at a little bit at the wiki and at the titles of it, and then I was like, okay, I'm very satisfied, I'm intrigued, and then I want to find out the rest by actually playing it, so I don't have actual real information. I just got the impression of okay, there's a lot to do here, even though there is no main quest line, which is I mean. If you use that the resources and time and assets that frees up to build other stuff, that's totally cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know quests are also cool. Like I think WoW has interesting quest lines. You disagree?
I mean, a lot interesting quest lines, like lore-wise, maybe.
Some people really like the WoW lore.
Yeah.
Maybe not the recent one, but I do people here talking fondly about like Arthas and
I think
like Ice Crown Citadel.
My main problem with it is that it's so inconsistent that you can't really get attached to any character because next expansion they might be the bad guy.
You didn't like it when Sylvanas burned down the world tree for
it's
no
just-
reason.
It's wild.
yeah.
I mean, I get it's really difficult to write something for that long and that consistently, and I'm sort of interested in the next 2 or 3 expansions because it sounded like they had a more overarching plot idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The lore is. I guess it's just there's just so much of it, and because of that, some of it is not very good.
Yeah, I mean, I defer to your authority. I haven't played WoW. I've just heard people talk about it fondly. And I bet there's like people out there who play it for the quests and they just play through the quest lines and then they stop because you can play these games in many ways. But I personally never needed like quests and stuff in MMOs because I always thought, well, if I wanted cool quests, I'd play a single player RPG. And it's just, the other people, the systems, the open world is what's interesting to me about it. So I'm like, it's totally great for me.
Yeah, I like the quests as a guidance system, sort of. But
yeah, to tutorialize maybe.
Yeah,
Is that what you mean? Like
in a way.
yeah, and I mean, if they do teach you cool stuff about the world and the lore, that's great. But I mean, not every game has like beloved lore like Warcraft. At least it used to be beloved.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. I guess just watching you play it, it seemed so hard to figure out sometimes.
Like just the interface and stuff.
Just the interface.
It is pretty
and how to
archaic.
interact with things, and also like you can make any character you want, and then you maybe don't know what you're supposed to do next.
Oh yeah, I mean, and we completely screwed up. Like we made a dude who has like a variety of skills, who could do magic, but we thought we might have a tailoring crafting skill. Apparently, that's all wrong, and you can't do that. Like you're not gonna have a mixed character of like combat and crafting skills.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's like you can, it's a skill-based system, and you can always reduce. Like you have a maximum of like 700 skill points you dish out, so that means you usually will get 7 skills to 100, and
That's not a lot.
no, it's not. But it's like you can basically reduce skills if you've like accidentally like they train up by using them, and if you want to reduce them, you can just like tell them to deplete the skill and feed another skill that you want to increase, and so you're never locked in. I do think though, I mean, I'm gonna try it out a little bit more. It's too early for me to really give a verdict on like the design of this game and stuff, because clearly they've changed some things and I don't know everything yet. But just as an early sort of thought I'm having is that I think the way WoW did it is sort of smart, right? They did it this way where everyone gets like normal like skills and stuff, but also you have like a trade skill that's separate. Do you know what I mean? And it's not in competition with like your combat skills or whatever.
There are no combat skills, but yes.
No, I mean it's not. I know what you mean. It's not a skill-based system.
They used to have that though. They used to, and you still can experience that in Classic, I think, where you had to train your weapon skills.
Yeah.
And they got rid of that. But yes, now you have two main professions,
right,
like engineering and leatherworking, or collection jobs like herbalism. And you also have I think you still have a range of secondary professions that everybody can have, like
Right.
first aid, for example.
Sure,
I
like
think
a
they got rid of.
utility thing.
Yeah, I think they got rid of first aid actually at some point. Yeah.
It's just like my impression was WoW gives you like a selection of like, okay, you're going to definitely learn some kind of trade skill, and it's not in competition with any of the other stuff in
Yes.
the game, but it does compete with itself, which is cool because it means your character, you can't learn every trade skill, and that means you have to trade with other people because you're going to need all the resources from every profession. Probably.
Yes. And you also want in World of Warcraft. There are some things that you can only make for yourself.
Right.
So a fighter wouldn't want leather working because maybe they want at some point. I'm not sure, but maybe not tailoring. But they'd rather want to be a blacksmith, for example, because then they can actually make things that they want for themselves.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, as I said, I might be completely wrong about how it works in Ultima Outlands because they may have a completely flourishing economy. There's also, it's just a different sort of game because obviously the whole housing market is a huge aspect of Ultima Online. It always has been in the past. The game's sort of, in my mind at least, famous for letting you build anywhere on the map. And
That's cool.
Yeah, that was part of why I really, really wanted to go out and explore with Marco because it's so interesting just to go around and look at the weird shit that people build. It was sort of a Minecraft before Minecraft, if you will, Vincent.
okay.
At least, you know.
Is there any limit, or will every world end up just having buildings everywhere?
Well, there's a natural limit. Okay, I have to talk about this a little bit now. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So, at least back in the day, it worked in such a way where you can build anywhere on the map, like sure with a certain distance from major cities and stuff. But then I think you could build pretty much anywhere, and your house would then be on the map. But because obviously this is a problem, the world fills up quickly with just houses everywhere, and it tends to like look weird at some point, and it's not what you want. So there should be some kind of limit, but I think the way every sort of server solved it is that there's just a natural limit by making it so that if you didn't log in for a certain amount of time, your house would collapse. And then the house would be removed. And also, though, and then I said this in the stream, I'm repeating it now, but to me, it's hilarious. Back in the day on the freeshard I played on, there was an entire economy of sort of low resource, low social status people who had nothing in the game, but would like hunt out houses which they called iDocs, in danger of collapse houses, that they would then sort of sit in front of or like repeatedly log in during the day to check on that house, because the game would sort of signal to you if a house looks like it is about to collapse because the person who owns it hasn't logged in a long time. And it would be, there was an element of randomness there. So you had to be like the first guy who gets to like dig through all the rubble, I guess, once the house collapses, because all the furniture and the loot and all the stuff that the owner was storing in the house, at least some of that would then be accessible to like your depraved scavenging self to like engorge yourself on. And I mean, that was its own thing, but yeah, I'm wondering how they solved it here. People did say like, yeah, after 30 days, which is in my impression a very low limit, after 30 days, your house is gone. I don't know if the whole scavenging thing also works on Outlands that way. I'm going to be very interested to find out.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think that's how you limit it. Like you can set the time limit differently, right? But every MMO server will have, new people joining and some people going away. There's going to be constant attrition, right?
Yeah.
And so you get rid of some of the houses that way as well. And I guess depending on the limit, you can then kind of sort of adjust how filled up you want the world to be. And also, they've made their own map. So clearly, like, I'm sure they were aware of this dynamic in Ultima games, Ultima Online games. So they had the chance to design their map with like the housing market in mind. I'm going to be interested to see how that works.
Wild
And it's also like, how does that work nowadays in Ultima? And how can you iterate on this concept? Like, is there like Ultima Airbnbs? Can I rent other people's houses or like
Maybe.
crash on their couches? Like, I
Uh-huh.
don't know. I mean, because
Insane.
like this is something that isn't done by other MMOs. Like WoW doesn't have a housing thing.
No.
They had that whole garrison thing, but that was instance. That's different.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that they promised something like that for guilds once.
Right, to
But
build your own cool guild hall.
Yeah, but that might have been like 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Yeah, but isn't that what you want? It's what I would want from an MMO. I want that realness. I want to be able to like. I mean, that's always the problem, right? Because it's such a two-edged sword, right? I want to be able to ruin other people's fun. Doesn't mean I want to do it, but I want that to be possible. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what makes it feel real to me. That like, yeah, you built your cool wizard tower there, but I could totally like put my, I don't know, dick-shaped penis house in front of it and ruin your real estate value for your bespoke tower.
Cool.
I'm not saying I would do that or that, you know,
Right.
like I don't, I would not condone people doing that, but I get excited by that being possible in the world. Do you know what I mean? That makes things feel real to me. Because you know, there's also then these whole player dynamics. Do they have homeowners associations in Ultima Online that like tell you, oh well, in this area you can only build houses out of red bricks because we want to keep some kind of aesthetic in this neighborhood, that kind of stuff.
Okay, that makes me think of Second Life, where people get weirdly
I guess,
protective of their properties because they bought them possibly with real money, which is just insane.
Okay, that's a whole different kind of worms, Winston, because those games all had that stuff where you can build in the whole world and it was real and stuff. But I was never attracted to these games. And it's also, I didn't think of them because they're compartmentalized into a totally different niche in games. And
it's not even really a game. It's more like a social simulator.
It is, and it's so, I don't know. I've met people in real life who wanted to get me into like Second Life or whatever. And it always, in my mind, it has this connotation of like, yeah, you can then make money in like Second Life. And it's not why I play games, right? It's like I want the dumb fantasy. It's not really dumb, but it's like this. I guess it is my inner child, and my inner child doesn't want to open a clothes store in Second Life and make money.
Yeah. Also, it always felt a bit like what are they called? MLM, the multi-level marketing,
a pyramid
like
scheme.
Pyramid schemes.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can get money by taking others people's money.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It definitely has that connotation and that feeling, and there's no, I guess that's for me the killing thing, that it was lacking in any kind of creative vision, right? That attracted me to it. Whereas, you know, with Ultima at least, I guess it was, I mean, Ultima has a long lineage, right? It was like invented by Richard Garriott, who made the Ultima games, and there was, I would say at least my impression is that there was a very strong creative vision. Think of Garriott what you will. He was kind of a weird character, but you know, he did it with passion. Is I guess my point.
That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Also, just looking around this map is amazing. I've been like scrolling around, and there's like they have basically Lake Town from The Hobbit here.
Oh yeah.
Just
with like a mountain in front of it.
There are mountains around. It's right. It's pretty far north, in the northeast, and right above it, north of it, begins the ice wasteland, and it's in the middle of a lake or an extension of the sea, and there appears to be some sort of maybe a temple or something on the east end, where they have like I don't know, there are wild wooden constructs around it. It's just, it just looks fun to explore this whole world.
That's good. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like this whole smoke on the horizon. I want to know what that is, and
Yeah.
that's my thing with like games. And it's a thing that I think games are uniquely positioned to deliver. Like that's not usually how you feel when you watch a movie. Like, oh, there's smoke on the horizon. What is that? I need to see that, right? Maybe the hero goes through that, right? But experiencing that vicariously is not the same as doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all. Like we've talked a bunch now about Ultima Online. That was sort of my experience with it, and that's why I'm excited about it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the A Dungeon About podcast. We record live usually every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central European Time on Twitch, twitch.tv/HeMakesMePlay_live. You can also watch some of our Let's Plays and other videos we create on the He Makes Me Play YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@HeMakesMePlay. And you can also follow us on Twitter @makes_play. Thanks everyone. See you next time.